Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Another morning I woke up not realizing it was Thursday. I was thinking it was Wednesday for some reason. Uh, and I didn't have a name. I didn't have a topic to discuss today, but I really did. So I woke. I'm like, I'm just gonna do hobby chat, hobby talk, something generic. Created the generic thumbnail. And then it's like, oh yeah, I was sitting outside on the patio yesterday, and this is something that has kind of been that I wanted to broach here recently, and I was thinking about it last night, and oh yeah, I want to talk about that. So why I wouldn't start selling cards in 2022. Timing is everything. So I'm gonna show why I would not go into full-time selling cards today or, this year, the way the market is. We've got Uncle Rich with us. Good morning to you. Jenny is with us, asking Rich what's for breakfast. Randy says, love the title. 2022 is a terrible year to sell cards full-time. It is a great time to buy, though, if people are willing to take the L, since most bought in at 2020 and 2021 prices. I will mostly agree with that, although it's not a terrible time to sell. My volume in sales continues to go up. It is taking more listings to get there. But, like I've said all along about selling cards full time, everybody's situation is different. So I want to share a little insight into my situation in why that decision. I would not make the same decision in the summer of 2022 that I did in the summer of 2021. All things being equal, it's a much different time. So I'll go into that. Victor, what is up? Good morning to you. Ed is with us. Zach and Porter, good morning. Abraham is with us. George is not eating breakfast. He's drinking some beer and eating Korean Doritos. My wife's been on a Doritos kick, and I never liked Doritos. Wanting a little snack with my lunch, and I'll dig into those Doritos. But it's definitely not my first chip of choice. I think my favorite potato chip, there's so many. And I get into different, sometimes I'm feeling Cheetos, but sometimes I want a cheesy puff. I love the cheesy puffs. But I could eat like the whole bag. There was something that I almost ate the whole. My wife had to pull the bag away from me. She goes, "You're gonna eat the whole bag." I think it was a barbecue. It was like I think it was a kettle chip barbecue flavor. And we had grilled out. This was last week or 2 weeks ago. Of course, down in Illinois, kitchen cooked, delicious potato chips. Baked Lay's, Sun Chips, you can't go wrong. I was about to say I'm not really a potato chip person, but apparently I am. Funyuns used to be a big thing when I was a kid. I loved Funyuns. Let's see. Jenny says one dealer I talked to was doing weekly flea markets. I think a lot are doing off eBay for volume and low dollar sales. Jenny asks, what's the difference between Korean and American Doritos? That's a great question. John says Bo's plugging in his fake microphone. It's now it's not even a real microphone. I feel like with a microphone, when I don't have the microphone, it's like where am I talking? Like, where am I talking? I feel like, hey, can you see me? I love the Zoom calls with people that don't know how to Zoom. Can you see me? Bo, can you see me? I love those Zoom calls. I laugh because my has a she's on a board, and like they have these monthly or every 2-week meetings. There's usually always one there, and they're like all up in the computer screen. But with the microphone, I feel like it's like when you're standing around, what do you do with your hands? Like I always like I know like doing this is supposed to be like you're not open and all of the psychological things where you're being closed off. It's like, no, I don't know what to do with my hands. So I put them in my pocket and it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to do this. It's easier. What do I do with our hand? What do we do with our hands when we're standing around? And that's why I think I use my hands when I talk. It's just so I have something to do with my hands. And that's the same with the mic. If I don't have a microphone right in front of me, even though it's not even on, it's not even plugged in, at least I feel better knowing that I'm talking into something and it's in the general direction of wherever the laptop microphone is. Herman's with us. What is up, Herman? Put his video up, completed the 72 top set. Very cool. Victor says, oh boy, UW shirt all red today. Thanks for the cards. You bet. I went with the blue shirt yesterday, red shirt today. David, what is up? There's a link for Herman. I think that's his link for his set completion. Let's see. George says the Korean Doritos are called Duduhan nachos, which is slang for stuck up. Duduhan. Herman Maiko has a card you need. 2021 anniversary Dale Rainbow. Very nice. Scotty Dubs, what is up? Jenny says selling in 2022 is depending on your inventory. If you have high-end PSA cards, yes, that's like trying to sell a snowmobile in Florida right now. But if it's low-end raw, you're doing good. Rich says, actually, the alternate take is that you can make more money when the market is not as strong as previous and going in a downward direction. My friends Ted Straka and Rob Veers have both told me they made their businesses during the 94-5 baseball strike downturn. Interesting. And I wonder why. Is it because the margins were bigger because it was a buyer's market where people are buying, like people still buy cards. It's just fewer. I'm selling the same amount of cards volume wise as I was during the peak, but I'm doing it with almost 5 times the inventory. It's taking me almost 5x the number of cards to sell the same amount as I was 14, 15 months ago. So I'm wondering if their businesses boomed. And that's a great point. You can really build a great business during downturns because it's a buyer's market and people, look at this past weekend alone, the successes we had at the Madison Card Show, at the New Berlin Card Show with the bargain boxes. Zach found some 76s, including a Dennis Eckersley in a dime box. I found a Willie Mays 69 tops in a dollar box. So, and look at the margins on those. I sold in just a couple hours the Willie Mays that I pulled out for $1, sold for 40. Some other cards, another card sold for 10. Several cards sold for $3-4. So, you can grow those margins because it's a sale. But I'm going to go into why I wouldn't start in 2022. And Rob, I don't know who Ted is, but I know Rob was in business before the strike. They were already going. And so this topic isn't about if you're already in it. This is great. And just like for Rob, and I assume Ted, were already in business selling cards in 94, 95. They built, they really grew their business exponentially through the downturns, likely because they were getting better deals as buyers and not on the selling side. And that's the situation I'm in. So I do want to, I'll touch on that. Zach and Porter says, I can see Bo being a bugle guy since he hates, I don't hate Doritos. I just choose, if they're in the pantry and they're the only chip in town, I'll eat them. Bugles, they're okay. I liked bugles when I was younger because you put them on your finger, you'd be like Edward Scissorhands, Edward Bugle Hands. George's favorite chip is salt and vinegar, but they don't sell them here in Korea. I'm not a salt and vinegar. They're too, like, they make me make that face. I don't like salt and vinegar. That 70s card show. What's up, John? Played 7 minutes in heaven with Amy John 12. She had braces filled with Doritos gunk. Haven't touched them. Oh my God. Oh God. George. So my favorite in Korea is shrimp flavored chips. DR, what is up? Checking in. Have a great day. I have to watch in the evening due to the work schedule. Totally different vibe watching in the evening, but it's a blast hearing everyone's thoughts while I ship. I love listening to hobby content when I ship. I think Hobby Hotline is probably my favorite. Video series channel while I ship, but I enjoy all hobby content while I ship. It makes the time go much faster. And I just feel like I'm in a different groove when I'm listening to hobby content in the background while I ship, as opposed to if I've got a podcast on or playing video, because then it's like, if I have like an old wrestling video on, it's like, oh, I haven't seen this in 30 years. And then all of a sudden I switch screens and I start watching wrestling for minutes. John says, tech will pass you by one day. Careful on the ladder on the way up. Ricky Bobby didn't know what to do with his hands either. That's right. Bearded Bookworm, what is up? Good morning. I just caught up on my year-to-date sales, $2.43 per card sold. Rich says, yes, you can buy better in a downturn. Herman's going to check that out. Diego says, good morning. What's up, Diego? When you bought that box for 6 cents each the other day, you could make them all quarter box cards. Oh, for sure. In fact, this morning, I woke up early this morning because I fell asleep on the couch. Here's why I fell asleep on the couch. Hopefully my wife's probably sleeping. Hopefully she's not watching this. We're on the couch. I'm listing some cards, and I got in late on Tuesday night because I was down for the baseball game. Usually I'm in bed by 10. Before like 9:30, 9:45, I'm getting ready for bed. But it was like midnight on Tuesday, and then I woke up Wednesday morning, tired all day. I ended up listing about 300 cards in my eBay store, and I'll share my kind of a test that I'm running for my eBay with these listings. We still haven't received much rain, so I was running the sprinklers. So I was out and about, and all of a sudden my wife's on a movie with it was there were like some, I really pay attention to TV. It's like background. But there were some funny parts. I wasn't really paying attention. It's the Philadelphia Man or something. I can't remember, but it's with Kevin Hart. It's on one of the streaming things, I think. And all of a sudden I hear my wife like heavy breathing, like she's sleeping. It's almost like ocean sound. It was like me to sleep. And all of a sudden it's like, I look up and yep, she is like comfortable. She's got a couple blankets. She's down for the count. So I grab a little blanket and I'm like, I'm gonna get a little snuggly here on the couch. All of a sudden I take a little nap on the couch last night. My wife's like, she woke up before me, and she's like, I fell asleep too. And I'm like, oh, I know. She's like, was I snoring? I said, yeah. I go, but it was lulling me to sleep. So I woke up extra early this morning. And in a roundabout way, I woke up extra early. So I still have the $60 bargain box that I picked up at Saturday's card show. And like Rich said, I bought these for 6 cents. And this morning I was going through and I was picking out like cards. I'm making my new 25-cent boxes for this Sunday show in Janesville. And these are just all like new Bowman that are going to be 25-cent cards. And a lot of these, here's the funny thing about quarter boxes when you're on both sides of the table, as a seller of bargain box cards and as a buyer of 25-cent cards. Here's one, for example. Hi-Fi Futures, Marco Luciano. If I'm buying a whole bunch of quarter cards, I'm probably putting this in my pile, and yet here I am selling it. These Bowman inserts, Jeter Downs, putting that in my quarter box. Mike Trout, Bowman, putting that in my quarter box. Jordan, another one I would pull out, going in my 25-cent box. The first Bowman in, because I like to hang on to those. He's a pitcher for the White Sox. I don't think he's too high in the prospect rankings. So a lot of these cards, if I was digging through and pulling out a bunch of cards, I would pull those cards. So a lot of those cards will be going in my 25-cent box, and a lot of them will be going in my eBay store. Especially those cards. So there were 2 rows. If you didn't watch yesterday's show, there was the left side was dollar cards, the right side was quarter cards, and some of the dollar cards will be like $5, and I paid 6 cents per card for those. Let's see. John says Fanatics is 10x big the hobby. It'll get better soon. So that's something that I'm going to have to go back and read the context behind that. I can't remember where that was, if Luber said that or if Ruben said that, but they wanted to 10x the hobby. And I don't know if that was the exact. I'm curious the context, what they mean. And I don't think anybody dug deeper into that comment, because I would like to know what it exactly means, because it's a pretty open-ended comment. 10x the hobby. Well, what does that mean? Are you going to produce 10 times the amount of cards? Are you going to bring in 10 times the amount of collectors? Or does that just mean you are going to 10x your bottom line at Fanatics, the card division? So I'm curious what exactly they mean by 10x the hobby and whatever quote they used. And I don't know if it's ever been explained. Eric Bailey, what is up? Good morning. Agreed. Any low end, definitely on goodness for standard envelope shipping. That was a game changer for eBay. Jenny says, don't give up. Winter will return. People will be back in their house, back to searching eBay. Sales will suddenly spike come winter. 6 months from today, Bo will be swimming. I'm already swimming. I'm at I think 160 some shipments. I'm just about to the highest point ever in volume over the last 90 days. So. And with that, I mean, I've also listed a ton here over, I hit 12,000, and then I just kind of, each 1,000 milestone of listings, it just kind of like, I want to get to 10,000, and then I'm dropping all the way under 9,000. Got to get back to 10,000. Got to get to 11,000. And it's like, I just kind of sit at 11,000. But now I soared past, which is kind of double, like I want listings, but I don't want, I'd rather make sales than, I'd rather have more sales than listings, if that makes any sense. The way I'm saying it probably doesn't make sense, but having 100,000 listings is one thing, but if it's a bunch of junk that nobody's buying and if you're only selling 20 or 30 cards a day on 100,000 listings, I don't want 100,000 listings. I want to scale up. I want to keep my sell-through rate the same as I list more cards. So I think with the experiment that I'm trying, I think that's going to slow my growth in sell-through rate, at least for the time being, as I get some more cards listed. I'm going to try one more. Basically, I'll just talk about it now. My experiment was I'm going to use basically a stock photo for basically set builders. And so I started with 1981 Topps football, and I have some success selling 80s football commons. I don't have that same success with baseball because I think there's just much, much larger production run on baseball in the 80s than football. But I do this, and I have success with this, doing variation listings. I use basically a stock photo for my variation listings. So I'm like, well, if I do that, I can just do that in File Exchange, and I can really whip through and do, probably do twice as many listings per hour. Instead of doing 120, I can probably do 200 to 250, because I'm not messing around with scanning cards and then getting them in order so I can copy and paste the links. It's just basically type, copy, paste, copy, paste. So I did that with 81 Topps. I think I added about 300 commons from 81 Topps. I'm going to do 86 because that's kind of an iconic football set. And I basically had I had a 4 or 5 row box of 81, 83, and 86 Topps football. They've just kind of been sitting around, and it's like, hey, I'm going to get these up because I've had decent success selling some of these commons. So I thought I was hoping to at least move 1 or 2 cards that I listed yesterday. I have not sold a single card out of the 300 listings. There's probably over 1,000 actual cards, because there were quantities probably listed over 1,000 cards within the 300 listings. Let's see. Bearded Bookworm says, I think now is the time to build up the store inventory, and when the market goes back on the upswing, you blow up. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the strategy. And it's not really a fear. I just think it's being a realist. I don't think there's a big upswing coming. I think this is it. I think this is where I think we've plateaued, and it may be another 10, maybe 20 years before we see another boom in the card market. I don't think we're going to see another upswing. I think we're going to see smaller little, dips and bursts. But I don't think we're going to see an extended period of boom times in the card market for several years. I think this is where we're going to be at. I think right now is kind of the baseline, and we're going to see some spikes, especially when it comes to sports and players. I'm selling a lot of football right now. Football is really starting to take off because spring training, training camp is in about 2 weeks. Starts in about 2 weeks, so we're getting that preseason football hype going. So I think we're going to see a small jump in football sales here over the next couple months. We're kind of in the dog days of summer with baseball, where there's not that hype, and I do see baseball. And this is all anecdotal. I don't have any data to back this up. It's just kind of what I feel the market has done as I've been selling. But it seems like June, July are the slowest baseball months for me. Second slowest behind November, December. November, December are just brutally slow for baseball. And then it starts picking back up in January, and then February, March, April. And then we kind of start seeing downward slide. And it kind of just downward slide all the way until January again. It's just ebbs and flows like that. And of course, we're always going to see player spikes. If somebody hits 3 home runs in a game, no hitters, prospect comes out of nowhere, call up, all that stuff. Rich says, more than a decade ago, I actually worked with, where am I at? Skipped ahead. More than a decade ago, I actually worked with one of Ricky Bobby's backup singers. Rob, yes, Ted was just getting in, so in the mid-90s. And Rich, not a Doritos fan either, or Fritos. I am not Fritos. I do not like Fritos. Zach and Porter said, speaking of solid content, check out Cousins Collectibles podcast on YouTube or Apple. Newman had them on a few months back. Passionate collectors and honest takes. I'll have to check that out. Is that the link you sent me last night? I did not look at that. Zach popped in a link. I'll open that up just in case, so I can watch that after this. Paige and Dina Bean, what is up? Good morning. And that link did not work. It's weird. Sometimes the links work for me and sometimes they don't. George says, damn, I heard Fritos with a Frito pie right now. I noticed a difference on your photos yesterday. Yes, I check your newly listed every night. Yeah, so I just used a stock photo of the box that contained, because everything's basically in the same condition. It's, I would say, VG to EX if I were grading, but I hate like what condition. I don't know. It's there's no like creases. There's no anything like that. Corners are okay. So yeah, I just use a stock photo, and that's what I do with my variation listings. When I do variation listings, which I found that my file exchange method of listing is actually faster than doing variations. And with file exchange, I can do it faster with photos, not just with a stock photo, but with photos of each card. I can still do it faster than variations, and that's with variations having a stock photo. ATX Treasure Chest, what is up? Bo, do you think you'd have a yard sale with your cards one weekend? I've debated, since it would be free, just my time. No. I've thought, I mean, have I thought about it? Yes. Will I put it to practice? Probably not. I don't know. It's just, yard sales is kind of a different beast. So probably not. I don't think I would do that. Let's see. ATX Treasure Chest. Oops, I've already tripled my money on the box of hockey cards I picked up. Great deal. Bargains always to be had at shows. That's the best. When people ask me, where do you get your inventory? It's like other dealers. Like, that's the best place to get deals. Card shows in person. All of my great deals have come from card shows. I should not say all. Most of my great deals come from card shows. George says, I think it was Luber that said that. So who knows what else can 10X mean? I mean, 10X can mean multiple things. But again, I don't know what the context. I'm going to Google it now because I see and hear this debate often. Luber, 10X, the hobby. Because I'd have to see, let's see. Okay, here's an article from Fortune. Is it going to let me click? Let's see. The founder of $1 billion sneaker empire is betting that trading cards are the next NFTs. Ooh, that's a bad title. Not. I hope not. If you've seen the NFT market lately. Okay, so let's see. Is there, if the comment's not in here, I'll look for it later, but this is just let's see. Maybe if I just type in. Okay, so here it is. So how can rare cards maintain their value if companies continue to produce trading cards? So Luber's comment, that's the question. How do we 10x the market, 50x the market without creating oversupply and ruining the value of cards? Question mark. There's a big paradox there. There's not an easy answer. The answer is we have to become more creative. So that's, I guess that's that's probably not the comment that everybody was jumping on. I don't know. I'm going to try to look to see, and if anybody else can find it, pop a link in, because I would love to see the context that it was said, and what it maybe we can kind of parse out what he was trying to get at with that comment. Let's see. George says, think he was like, want to work more closely with breakers and Shiite. How many places sell cards? How many people in the hobby? Jenny says, I'm determined to hit 10K active today. I've had that goal since May 1st. I can't hit it. Oh, well, great sales. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. When you are struggling, when you continue, and it's a good thing if you continue to list and you can't hit it, because that means you're selling, and that's better than your sales volume is much better than your active listings, because that means that's actual income and money coming in. Straight execution, I switched from cards to other categories as the sell-through rate and margins for cards is hard at the moment. I'll do more cards when the market rebounds. ATX says, when you do variation listings, does it count as one listing or 100 or whatever the number? One listing. Variation listings count as one listing. Let's see. And there's Jenny with the answer. John says, only thing I've 10x'd is calorie intake. Amen to that. I just made it to 12,000 active listings this month. Rich says, by the way, before I get for my day, I'll listen to the rest later. Did anyone other than me notice the sign, the apocalypse is upon us, involving Bo himself? Uh-oh. I did not notice. See, Rich says both he and his best friend are trading cards. Liked an article I linked into as a response to one of his tweets. Oh, the apocalypse is upon us. Let's see. Victor, the rookie card specialist, dropping in. Let's see. John says, people thinking there is a rebound don't realize the past few years was an outlier. Absolutely. Like, I mean, if anything, it's going to continue to decline. The floor probably isn't here yet. Add potential overproduction to the current situation. And look, yeah, exactly. John's spot on. I don't think there's a rebound. If anything, like John alluded to here, the floor, not even alluded to, what John says here, the floor probably isn't here yet. There's probably more decline coming, as opposed to we're going to pop back up in 6 months. I think this is being looking forward a year, 2 years, maybe 3, 5. We could be at the, moving forward from where we're at right now with sales and where the market is within the hobby. This could be the absolute peak over the next 5 years. In 5 years, we could look back and say, man, June 2022, I wish it was June 2022 again. Man, I was making a ton of sales. I was selling 80 a day back in June 2022. Now I'm doing 40 or 50 on the same amount of listings. So I agree. I think there's more decline coming as opposed to a rebound. And I think we're several years out before we see even what we saw this time last year, even though we were out of the peak. I think the peak was probably, what would you say, February 2021. And then it started a kind of a slow decline over the following few months. And then I think probably, the doom and gloom started August, September. There was still a high at the National, and not just on attitudes, but prices. And then I think we saw the decline afterwards. Let's see. ATX says, thank you. My goal is to be the Burbank of the South, even using their organizational system. Jenny says, are you planning to report results this weekend from June sales? I'm curious, as 2021 June was your best month? Yeah, I will today. Wow, today's the last month of June already. Yeah, so I'll have those numbers in. So actually probably Friday, once everything clears, I can report those. So probably, today's Thursday. So yeah, maybe Monday. What's up? Mark Hoyle is with us. Jenny says, what's your average item in your 12K store? Do you do low end like Bo or more high end? Joe Card Legends, what is up? Good morning. Speaking of links, what's this 5 p.m. show? I am waiting. Oh, so at 5 p.m., and I made a mistake because it was supposed to premiere at 5 p.m. yesterday. I'm going to share why I think Sports Card Radio is the most honest guys in the hobby. So that's going to premiere today at 5 p.m. here on my channel. And it's a real short video, but it's just my opinion. So that's coming up at 5 today. Cooter, what's up? I think you were seeing an increase in competition as online dealers see a decrease of revenue on the higher dollar cards and are starting to see low dollar cards as a source of additional revenue. I think there is, it's kind of an interesting time because what we're seeing right now, what I'm seeing is I am seeing that there are people who are adapting more so to low end cards. But there's also people that kind of just want to get out, and so they're dumping their low end cards. So it's kind of it's a weird time. Which also, when people are dumping their low end cards, and more people are adapting to selling low end cards. There's additional competition on buying, where a year ago people are just dumping their bargain boxes, and everybody's people are attracted to the high end. So when they buy collections, they're picking out the top 10, 50, 100 cards, and the rest is just, here, have it for pennies on the dollar. Well, now it's like, oh, there's these high-end cards, there's not as much value as there used to be, but there's value in some of these lower-end cards, these $5 and $10 cards. So now we're going to keep those, and now there's less to buy. So it's kind of, we're in that weird phase where some people are getting out. The people that are staying in are starting to be attracted to the lower end cards. Jenny says, what's the condition? Well, we didn't need to use the card during the 2020 TP shortage. Joe Card Legend says, too many low ballers at yard sales. ATX says, I do a lot of low end, probably most range up to $20 in his eBay store. Doc Jim is with us. Good morning to you. Jenny says, I wouldn't be too worried about low ballers as 25-cent, 10-cent cards. There's too much room, not too much room to lowball on that. Let's see. We said hi to Victor. Mark is with us. Good morning to you. Hey John, just got the Dan Epstein book, Stars and Strikes, in the mail. Can't wait to get at it. Very nice. Jenny says, also list. Yes. Here's a tip. Thank you, Jenny. Tomorrow is July 1st, Bobby Bonilla Day. So if you have any Bobby Bonilla cards, that's a great tip. I'm going to make sure, maybe when I do some listings today, I'm going to list Bobby Bonilla cards. I move July 1st, you'll sell Bobby Bonilla cards. So list Bobby Bonilla cards. I remember, and it wasn't last year, but it was probably pre-pandemic. I had a Bobby Bonilla rookie, the 86 Topps Traded autographed. And I wanted to keep it because it was such a cool card. And I kind of wish now, in hindsight, I wish I would have kept it. But I had it in my eBay store for probably a year. And it was like priced at like $10. And all of a sudden it sold. And I'm like, wow, this card has been in my eBay store for a year. And then I realized, oh, it's Bobby Bonilla Day. So he gets so much publicity on July 1st on social media. All of the websites run articles on the contract because he's going to get his $1.2 or $1.4 million payout tomorrow, and every other year for the next, 10, 15 years. So yeah, thank you, Jenny, for that reminder. Tomorrow is Bobby Bonilla Day. Let's see. Where am I at? Let's see. That 70s Card Show says, don't dwell on the meaning of the 10X. It was just thrown out there frivolously. They aren't sharing their business plan. It was a silly comment that has zero relevance. That is true. Joe Card Legends, check out this new collectibles platform, Auction Sales Breaks. Really awesome, family trustworthy platform. Cooter says, I think the 10X was a talking point to support the crazy money they agreed to pay the leagues and players. Well, ain't John a ray of sunshine today? The floor ain't here yet. That's kind of what I'm going to be talking about this afternoon with my 5 p.m. video. Is sometimes it's not all sunshine, and I think we need truths in the hobby, even if they're negative. Is the floor ain't here yet? Is that a negative comment? I don't think so. I think that's a realist, because and maybe I think it's a realist because I agree with it. And maybe if you don't agree with it, you think it's a negative comment, but I think there's a lot of truth into it. 3C Collectibles, what is up? Anyone else having problems with buffering? Hopefully not. I do know that if you watch it in replay shortly after it ends, it's still like processing, because I've had that issue with other live videos that I've watched right after the fact. Hopefully in live, it's not buffering. I don't know if anybody else has buffering issues. Zach and Porter says, I jumped back in the hobby in 2020, sort of joining P as he was starting. I wonder how many of us are left that jumped in during 2020. It probably depends on why you jumped in or collect. That's a great point, because I've seen so many, and when I've talked in I promote the Madison Card Show. I set up in Rockford. I'll be set up in Janesville this Sunday. So I get to talk to a lot of people, customers and dealers alike. And what I've noticed now, and of course this is anecdotal, I don't keep notes. It's not science. But something I've observed is the collectors that came back in 2020, the pandemic collectors, those that are still coming to the card show, looking through my bargain boxes that say, yeah, I got back in during the pandemic. They're just like Zach, who was a collector 20, 30 years ago. Life happens, and you just kind of go on to other things, and then it brings you back. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you had extra time on your hands during the pandemic. You dug around in your attic or basement. You got back in for collecting. That's who I've noticed are still sticking around, and they're still looking at bargain boxes, and they're still buying cards. The guys that I don't see anymore, that a year ago that I knew that were back in the hobby. Yeah, I used to set up at shows in the 90s, and I used to collect. They got back in because Luka rookies soared, and there's all these record prices on cards and slabs. And I don't see those guys anymore. And I know a couple guys that completely just liquidated completely because they had bought in at the peak prices, and now they're a fourth of what those peak prices were, and they're like washing their hands with it because that was their lane. Their lane was slabs and Bull rookies and Kobe White rookies, and they're spending what was it at the time, $20 or $30 for grading, and now PSA 9 Kobe White is going to be at a $5 bin. So that's what I've noticed is the guys that are still the pandemic collectors that returned in 2020 that are still around, like Zach, are the collectors, and they're in it for the fun and the hobby. Whereas the guys that came back in 2020 that have now left were in it for the quick buck. Examine Baseball, what's up? Good morning. How do you get 10K listings up? Do you use a bulk lister? Yes, I use eBay's file exchange. So it's a spreadsheet. I have my numbers, and I'm going to get into why I would not start selling full time today as opposed to when I did a year ago. So in October of 2021, I was at 3,000, right around 3,000 active listings in my store, and I just surpassed 14,000 yesterday, and I use eBay's file exchange. Kentucky reseller, do you use Fujitsu or Epson scanner? What model number? I use the Fujitsu 7030, the 7030, and it is between that and file exchange. I mean, it's 10x to my business, John. It's 10x to my business. Baseball card curmudgeon, what is up? Good morning. Let's see. George just dropped a link. Let's see if it works. Here it is. Topps Industry Conference. Okay, I'm going to read that later. Refresh your browser if you're getting buffering. Thanks for the tip. George says, in here, it's further down the page, but it was during the industry summit when Luber said he wanted to 10x the breakers. Okay. Examine Baseball, yes. How do you get all the photos up, especially of the low-end cards? So I touched on that at the beginning of the video, where I actually just tried something new yesterday. The photos, I use the Fujitsu 7030 scanner. It's a bulk feed, so it feeds the cards in. This is low-end singles. So I put that, and then I use Image Shack, the imageshack.com. To house. It does not, eBay File Exchange does not work with Google Photos. And I think the only, basically every photo server that works with it, you have to pay a subscription, but Image Shack is like $15 for the entire year. And so I use Image Shack, and then that creates a link copy and paste that link into your spreadsheet and upload. I can do about 120 per hour using File Exchange and the scanner. What I started yesterday was much like I do with the variation listings. I just use a stock photo. So I just took a photo of the box because what I was listing yesterday were basically just commons from the early 80s football, 81 Topps football. That's why I was tweeting some funny football cards. So I tried that out. We'll see. Variation listings with a stock photo have worked for me, so we'll see if this method works as well. Mark Wilkins, what is up? Good morning. ATX says, I use an Epson scanner, and I haven't gotten the bulk listing thing to work for me. Did mine the old-fashioned way, one at a time. Ouch. Johnny Boy Cards, good morning. ATX ads, I scan and send them to Dropbox, which I grab from my open list at the photo. Examine says, I just picked up a huge autographed 8x10 photo lot. Would anyone be interested in seeing the lot? George adds, he said something along the lines of demand will require 10x the number of breakers. I think Luber was wrong. I think Ruber was wrong on that. Jenny says, flatbed scanner listing template example. I've done 65 listings since Bo started his show with the template. Adam Lennon, good morning to you. I don't have a 12,000 item store, but usually around 100 to 150 active listings. 30 of my last 35 sales have been $5 to $15. That has been a clear shift from the last year. Really, about 6 weeks ago, that shift happened. Bearded Bookworm says people also don't view making $2 to $3 per item worth the effort. Bread and butter. Yeah, and I'll talk on that. That's why I love doing it, because I can get those deals. People are like, oh, it's a $2 card, a $3 card, and I can buy them for a nickel a piece, and it's worth the time for me, because when you're selling 80 of them a day, and that's, that's just not all low end cards. There's some higher dollar cards than $3, but when you're doing it in volume, it adds up. Yeah. Is it more work? I enjoy it though. I understand not everybody wants to sit at a computer and type into a spreadsheet and list on eBay all day. The shipping is a bear. I don't mind the typing into a spreadsheet. It's the shipping that kind of annoys me. But it's like, I enjoy it. And I was actually my mother-in-law's friend I took to the airport yesterday morning, and was asking me, like, what hours do you put in? And I'm like, well, I usually start at about 6:30, and I usually wrap up at 8 p.m. And he goes, geez, that's a long day. But it doesn't seem like it. And even at 8 p.m. when I go upstairs and lay on the couch and watch Netflix for an hour, I'm usually listing card. Like, okay, I'll list my Chrome cards or the higher end cards that I'm not going to bulk list. It's just, it's my hobby and my job. And I think I feel fortunate that I can do something that I love doing, and do it full time and make money off it. And I just think there's a lot of, it's fun for me. It's fun. Let's see, where are we at? Let's see. ATX makes a draft listing completely filled out and then create drafts from the seller hub. Let's see. ATX, I meant create copies in the draft in the seller hub. Mark Marinello, what's up? I think I butchered your last name. Mets new owner is going to honor Bobby Bonilla Day. That's awesome. Zach says, I will on this hill forever. Bonilla's 86 cards on the White Sox are some of the coolest cards of that era. I agree. As a Cubs fan, I agree. That 86 Topps traded is such a cool card. He's also, I think he has a Donruss, the rookies in a White Sox uniform, and I believe a Fleer update card in a White Sox uniform. But that 86 Topps traded, oh my God, that is just one of my, I think for nostalgia purposes, that's one of my top 5 favorite cards of all time. 86 Topps traded, Bobby Bonilla. Let's see. John says the St. Louis ABA team was the original Bonilla deal on steroids. Look that up sometime. Yes, it was. Oh my God. And that's, yeah, on steroids is an understatement. Oh, look, yeah. Look that up. And if that's just it's almost sickening. It almost makes you feel sick. Examine baseball ads. Yes, that ABA deal was something else. I think the NBA bought them out. John, that is a great story about the Spirit of St. Louis. NBA bought most of it about. Apparently, they still get a little trickle payment. Examine baseball, dropping the link to his 8x10 photo collection. Let's see. George says, where's that located? John Nolan Drive. Yep, that is how I got back in, says Johnny Boy Cards. Mark says, true collectors will be around forever. Absolutely. Jenny says, did I tell you guys about the 4-year-old I saw walking at the show with his dad with a mini kid Pelican case? I didn't know they made Pelican cases for 4-year-olds. You need people who tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. Most businesses fail because they don't recognize a risk in a timely manner. The same applies to the hobby. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Let's see. Michael Rathburn, what is up? Good morning to you. He was considering full-time possibly and have changed that. The market has changed so much. And I still haven't, wow, we're 50 minutes in and I've danced around the subject. I'm going to share why I think that here in just a moment. Mark says, quick buck hustlers are the ones posting 88 Topps baseball wax boxes for $100. Michael says, I'd have to be at 100,000 listings to go full time. Holy cow. Let's see. Inflation, rising interest rates, $5 gas, and overproduction. What could ever go wrong? Andrew A is in the house. What is up? Good morning. Let's see. Jenny says, by the way, Cooter, you won tweet of the day yesterday with the don't leave eBay sales on the desk. I'm surprised we aren't hearing about card shops closing. I think we will. Unfortunately, I think we will. I hate hearing businesses go out of business. But I think it's inevitable. Let's see. Nick's dropping the link. There's the scanner, the Fujitsu 7030. Victor says, on the settings of your 7030, do you use the overscan setting, then crop it manually? Kind of tricky to get it just right. Otherwise, to be honest with you, I don't know. When I did the settings, Frank Lubatti, I did a video on Hobby Evolution. So this is, okay, sidebar here. So here's how I got to pumping the Fujitsu scanners. So I did a video, and I think I just did a video here on Hobby Evolution wanting to know bulk listing options, scanning options, and I did a video on it. And then I found on Chronazio's website, they have like a page of scanners to use for cards. And so I showed that off. Don Caruso, who's the sales director at Fujitsu, reached out to me and like, hey, we should do an, actually, between that time, Frank saw my video on scanners and he went ahead and bought one. And he got it and he showed a video. And he goes, dude, it's totally worth it. We're at 50 live viewers. 50 live viewers. 52. This is a record. 52 live viewers. Hit the like button. We've only got 6 likes. Hit the like button, please. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. So Frank shows me the video. He's like, dude, this is a game changer. He showed me this video like the week before I was going full-time, maybe the weekend before I was going full-time in the hobby. I started full-time on a Monday, I think the 15th of October. And Monday morning, I start doing my listings, and I was using File Exchange, but I saw that video, and I'm like, doing the photos, it's taking forever. There's no way I need to scale doing this the old-fashioned way with photos. I've got to have a bulk scanner, a feed scanner. So I bought it like an hour in. Like I started listing at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever time it was. By 10 a.m., I was on Amazon buying the Fujitsu 7030 scanner. And it was a game changer. It totally was able to allow me to scale up. Don Caruso saw these videos. He's like, I love your videos. Let's do a collaboration and we can answer everybody's questions. So that video is on. Just type in Fujitsu baseball card scanner. It probably shows up. You can search it in my my YouTube channel. And then he sent me, he's like, the big thing with the Fujitsu 7030 is you can't scan chromium cards. Now, I have found Bowman Chrome cards will scan okay, but it's Panini, their chromium will not scan worth a crap. So he's like, there's a fix for that. Use the Scan Snap. It's the overhead scanner. So he sent me one. And I used it. I don't really use it. In fact, it's in a box. I don't use it that often because most chromium cards, either I'm going to list it on my phone or I'm just going to put it in a quarter box and not mess with scanning. So that's the story of how I found the Fujitsu scanners, and it's been a complete game changer for my business. Let's see. Diego says, compared to everyone else, my listings are lacking. Doc Jim says, I've enjoyed listing as well. I actually find I spend more time with the actual cards and appreciate each of them more. That is an excellent comment, because what I find yesterday, as I'm listing 1981 Topps football cards, I see the Russell Erxelben, or however you pronounce his last name, and he looks like he's Hulk Hogan's doppelganger. And I tweeted that out, and it had like 150 likes and 50 retweets or whatever crazy amount. And it's cool cards like that. And some of those early 80s football cards, 70s football cards, I mean, are just awesome. And I love seeing some of these cards, and especially with football. I don't, baseball cards, I know most of them like the back of my hand, especially, Topps. We've seen them all, but football and basketball, I never really collected, especially 70s and early 80s stuff. So seeing some of those cards, it's a lot of fun listing those cards and getting to see those cards sometimes for the first time, or really taking notice to some of them. Let's see. Jenny says, Diego, you got the record for least amount of listings. There is profit in small stuff. Talk to anyone who has sold low dollar stuff. That's where you find the highest margins. People don't price shop smaller dollar items in general. Cooter says, I knew I was in trouble when Mr. Cooter asked why I bought something I already had. Let's see. Jenny says, you're correct, Zach. No one is bulk selling their graded cards and $20 and up cards. Let's see. Diego says, but I think my feedback is pretty good as a seller. Batting 1,000. Let's see. Where are we at? Mark says, you nailed my last name. 95% of people butcher it. Wow. Let's see. Zach says, office supply dealers had been doing it for years until Bezos showed up and killed that market. Zach and Porter Post-its and pens. Everyone needs them, and no one knows how many they have at home or office, so they buy more. That's actually a great point. Let's see. Mikey Green Beans, what's up? Good morning. My sales conversion rate is 7.2%. I would starve to death without my eBay sales. I'm not sure what my now my sell-through rate is 0.55%. My sales conversion rate, because the sales conversion rate is different than your sell-through rate. My sell-through rate, or my sales conversion rate's right around 7%. Where are we at here? But my sales conversion rate, 6.6%. So it's dropped a little bit. Well, where are we at here? Let's see. Nick says, I know a guy who opened a memorabilia card shop in Long Island, and he closed it recently, was open about a year. Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, we're going to hear more and more about shops closing here in the next 6 months, 12 months especially. Yes, I think my current one, talking about discounts. Don Caruso is a great name. That guy is given that guy was given a name that destined him to be in sales. He had no choice. Let's see. Frank the lawn guy, set up your scanner. Nope, not Frank, my lawn guy. My neighbor, not my neighbor Frank. I don't think my neighbor Frank could turn a computer on. Let's see. What is the name of the photo program you use to list on File Exchange? I use Image Shack. IMAGESHACK, imageshack.com. There's a free, you can use it for free. But if you're doing volume, you'll probably have to pay for the subscription, it's like $16 for a whole year. So it's a really cheap option. Let's see. Jenny says John would say it doesn't matter. The scanner doesn't do chrome. There was no chrome in the 70s, right? Michael's adding that kickers and punters sell. I just sold a Justin Tucker yesterday. Let's see. John says Kellogg's, Jenny, the original chrome, right? Yeah, it's like I come across a stack of Kellogg's. Oh, can't scan these. Pepino Man is with us. Pepino, I watched your show. It was very entertaining on Hobbypalooza. I've never sold a card, but still cool to listen to sellers. Michael says the older Prism actually scanned decent. The newer stuff doesn't. Bo, what's your other social handles? Mostly all of my social is basically 1 Million Cubs Project. I think it's 1 Million Cubs on Instagram, Madison Card Show on Twitter and Instagram, 1 Million Cubs Project on Facebook. And I think that's it. And then just Bo Thompson on LinkedIn. Shaka's Closet, I've been selling Garbage Pail Kids. And we're almost to the end of the chat. An hour in, and I haven't really got to the main point that I wanted to get across about why I wouldn't sell cards full time in 2022. Nick says folks are just better off either getting a place with an extra bedroom or renting a storage unit nearby and listing online, or if you have a basement. That was something. Do you have a shop? It's like, no, I'm not gonna think of all the overhead and with what I sell, I would basically just be paying all of the revenue from my card sales would be going into electricity, water, internet, and rent for all of the overhead. Cooter wants to drink a beer with Pepino Man. Shaka's Closet wants to blaze with Pepino. Love it. So why wouldn't I sell? I went into cards full time 8 months ago. I would not make that same decision today. Now, that's not saying I'm not doing well and I'm not making ends meet doing what I'm doing. I'm doing just fine. But if all things were the same, I would not have the sell-through rate or the volume sold to make that jump today. If I was starting from scratch, starting, I wouldn't have the running start that I had in September, October of 2021. So when I went full time, and this was post peak was my sell-through rate in February and March of last year was 2.3%. So what sell-through rate means, if you're not familiar, is the amount of sales of your inventory, how much inventory you're selling on a daily basis. So I was selling 2.3% of my inventory every single day. In October, when I went full time, 1.2% was my sell-through rate. Today, it's 0.55%. When I ran my projections on going in full time, basically my max was 1%. Like, I think the best it's going to be is 1% because I'm going to continue scaling up. There's going to be stuff that's probably not going to move quickly. Basically my base was 0.5%. So I'm uncomfortably close to that low end on my projection. So it's been a little slower than where I thought it would be. So it's taken me basically 5x the amount of inventory to move the same amount that I was selling just over a year ago. My average sales per day when I went full time, 33 sales per day. And that was on 1.2% sell through rate. If that were today on 0.55%, we're looking at what, about 15 sales per day. So yeah, I would not have been in a position to make that jump. The numbers would not have worked. Could they work? Yes, but it would have taken me much, much longer to get to where I needed to be, as opposed to I've got a nice running start October 2021. And so, That's not saying if you were doing it full time, it's a failure. As long as you keep at it, keep listing. I think my sales numbers right now, I think I'm averaging 78 sales per day. Um, so the sales are still there. They're still coming in. I'm getting great deals. So like Rich mentioned earlier in the chat with Rob Veers from Burbank, 94.95, he was doing really well because he was likely getting some really good buys in a downturn. And so that's where you have to take advantage of when there's less sales coming in, list more cards, buy more cards at better prices, and you can continue to scale up and grow your business. So that's where I'm at. But look how much, 1 year ago today, June 30th, 2021, I was not considering going into cards full time. What is that? Talk about an evolution, business evolution. June 30th, 2021. Would you do this time? No. If you asked me in January of 2021, I would have said, hell no. Absolutely not. I'm not going to. This is fun. I'm having a lot of fun. June 30th, I was probably like, yeah, I think I could make this happen. I don't want to, but I could probably do it. The bug really hit me in July at the National. And that's when the wheels really started turning. It's like, okay, I want to put a business plan together. I want to run the numbers and just see. I think I can do it, but I need the actual proof that I can do it on numbers, not only for my own business sake, but so I can show my wife, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I can do, given it, full time. So I think by the end of August of last year, that's when I started putting those numbers down. And then early September, I started, getting everything in place, talk to an accountant, getting all that set up, getting the paperwork and the LLC formed and tax stuff and all that crap that you have to deal with. And then October, business was formed. It went live October 1st. And then I put in my 2-week notice on October 1st or September 30th, whatever it was. And sometimes in the industry I worked in, you don't, you're dealing with some sensitive information. So they're just like, yeah, we don't want a dead man walking for 2 weeks. Just take your stuff and leave today. So that's actually happened within the office I was working in the past. But as you know, it's hard to find employees, and we were, kind of short staffed, and they took me up on that 2 weeks. So basically, it was like a bonus paycheck for me because I was still like, I was just hanging out. Like I wasn't making many calls. I was talking to my customers that that I dealt with on a daily basis, and but I was just kind of putting walking, going through the motions basically for 2 weeks, collecting the paycheck, getting an extra vacation day that was paid out at the end of my run. So, but it's fun. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I think I've made for the most part, the right decisions, and I think I was well prepared for doing this, and just hope to continue to grow despite, the hobby being as soft as it is right now. Let's jump into the chat here. Let's see. Ricardo says, what's up, Ricardo? Like penny stocks on Wolf of Wall Street. Mark says, good thing I have finished basement for my baseball collection. I have way too much stuff. I know how that is. Pepino says, when I left to the Army in 92, there were like 2 or more card shops in every city. 4 years later, most of them were gone. Yeah, I've talked about this in the past. I grew up in a really small town, 900 people. And within a 10-minute drive to the south and to the west, there were 2 small cities. We're talking 6,000 people and 12,000 people. Kewanee had, I think at the peak, had 3 or 4 card shops. Geneseo was 6,000, had 2 card shops. And then there was a small town in between that had 1 card shop. So we're talking 7 card shops within a 10-minute drive in rural Illinois. And today there's 0 so it went from 7 to 0 real fast. I mean, I think the one shop in Geneseo outlasted every. They kind of rode the Beanie Baby. They survived the strike and the downturn in the early to mid '90s, and then they got a got an extra life during the Beanie Baby craze, and that kind of helped them plug along for a few more years. And I think by the early 2000s they were closed, but it went from 7 to 1 from like 1991, 92 at 7, and I think by 94 it was down to 1, maybe 2, and then the other one fizzled out. George says, so one of the Luber 10X comments was also talked about on an episode of On the Fly with Mike and Ty. Basically, Luber loves 10X. So I think John used the word frivolously. He's just frivolously throwing out 10X. Shaka says, same here in Ohio at that time. What do you attribute to the lower click-through rate? Just less demand. There's less people. There's less traffic. So there's less people clicking through on the items. Let's see. Nick says, if you're selling 50 to 75 items per day, is the profit enough to pay your bills? Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. Let's see. ATX says, believe it or not, I have unexpectedly sold more than I would have thought of 2019 Topps Base Commons. Bearded Bookworm says, I work a compressed work week. I'm planning to build a full-time income with my half-time schedule, then make the jump and double my business. That's a great strategy. That's actually the strategy that I employed. When I was working from home, so it allowed me, several hours a week, 5-6 extra hours a week to start building my business because it's a side hustle business. And I started treating my side hustle as, okay, this is what I have to live on, but I didn't have to live on it. So I was just building a bankroll on the side, and it was all extra money. And then I used that to float me, through, about a year's worth of bills and vacation and, other stuff. How do you handle health insurance? We went through like a local, it's basically like my wife is also self-employed. She's a realtor. So we had to do, like private healthcare, whatever it is. So, and it basically priced up because I ran all these numbers. That was the one thing that held me back from going full-time in the hobby was the benefits I had at my previous employer. So that was something that was, like how do I overcome this? But basically the cost of insurance was what I had. It was actually the private healthcare came in less than what I had budgeted for. So Mark says, I've been self-employed for 35 years. There's no such thing as a 40-hour week. Definitely not. I work twice as much as I did at my day job. And absolutely love it. That's what my capacity is while having the day job. Is it okay to ask what it costs? Healthcare? It just depends. So my wife has a different plan than I have. You're probably looking at it's going to be a few $100 a month. I think minimum. And of course, it depends on what, are you healthy? Do you have, it's all going to vary. There's different plans. There's basically like 3 different plans based on coverage, and based on, how much you pay, depends on your health history. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. Cooter says, with overhead costs rising in so many online platforms, we're going to see most brick and mortar LCSs close again. Sorry, but have been to this rodeo before. Yep. Unfortunately, it is. Nick says, I'm looking at $1,000 per month for a plan similar to what I get as a teacher here in NYC. That seems higher than what it should be, because the plan actually, you know what? That's probably, I don't have the numbers on me. It was the plan that I had through my employer and the plan that I could buy, I guess it would be pretty close to that. But I didn't need, but I, and I know that's what insurance is, you don't need it until you need it. So, let's see, Bearded Bookworm, probably make the jump after getting debt free, really trying to eliminate as much risk as possible. Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt, do that. Every breath Bo takes is a write-off. Michael says health insurance is the number one thing holding me back. Also, I have a 6-year-old son and I have full custody. Everybody's situation is different. Do you have kids? Do you have health issues? I mean, there's so much that goes into it. It's not just, what works for me is not going to work for you, and it's not going to work for the next guy. And there's so many, so much going on that, it's kind of on an individual basis. Jenny's been debating on raising my eBay store. The extra $30 doesn't seem bad when I think about table space at shows, where there's way less eyes at shows. Absolutely. And Jenny, here's the thing, as long as that's a great idea, but just wait until the money makes sense. Because even that $30, you can pay, whatever it is per listing, say it's 10 cents or whatever your plan is currently, is it 10 or 15 cents per listing. And if you're going, $100 or 100 listings over, that's still less than that extra $30 for the subscription. So you can go over and still pay less than what the next level store subscription. So before I made the jump to the premium level store, I was going over in the subs and the listings, and all that has changed drastically in the last, 5 years or whenever I, expanded. But I'd go 200-300 listings before I went up to the next level. So just wait until you max out your listings, and then do the math and see how many extra listings you can take advantage of before it runs out. But then there's also, you'll get the extra $25 coupon, so that also goes into account. So the other variables, and again, when I made the jump from basic to premium, it was much different. The listings, the price, all of that stuff. Of course, I wasn't doing it full time then, so there's a lot of variables that go into it. Andrew says, "Do you remember when you have 5,500 listings, how many sales per day you were averaging roughly?" That's a great question. Let me go into. I started tracking everything on a daily basis because eBay doesn't. And this is surprising that eBay doesn't have your sell-through rate calculated. So I calculate that. I have a spreadsheet that I calculate on my own. Let's see. So when I started tracking in December 20th, I had 8,600 active listings. I was averaging 54 sales per day. In October, I had around 3,000 listings, and I was averaging 33 sales per day. So, but I don't have the data for when I had 5,000, 6,000 listings. So those were the numbers. At roughly 3,000 listings, I was averaging 33 sales per day. That was in October of 2021, and December, I had 8,600 active listings, 54 sales per day. Right now I'm at 14,000 listings, and I'm averaging about 78, 79 sales per day. Let's see. Bearded Bookworm says, I believe it's around 12K before it makes sense. Travis Huff says almost to 10,000 listings. Thanks for all the inspiration. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Got to take advantage of the discounts and random sales to beef up them sales. Ken, I assume I'm late. I'm going past. This is like Hobby Evolution overtime. What is up, Ken? Ken, by the way, we need to do our pack war with the WWF cards that John sent us. I still have my pack, and every time I see it, it's like, oh man, I want to rip that. Oh wait, I need to get with Ken. So let's plan that if you're still game. Let's see. Jen, I think one huge advantage is you don't have kids. I would agree. I would totally agree. In fact, when I was working my previous job, my boss had 4 kids, and I'm like, how in the hell do you like? I don't have any kids, and it's hard for me to find time in the day to get things done. So I applaud anyone who has kids and has a side hustle and all that stuff. It's I don't know how you do it. It's like we have a dog that is probably like the easiest dog. I mean, you take her out in the morning, feed her lunch, take her out in the afternoon, walk her. That's it. And it's still like, what are we going to do with the dog? Ken is up for it. Awesome. Agile Collector, what is up? Good morning. I was lucky with my store. I had been bulk grading with PSA for years before the pandemic started, in the neighborhood of 2,500 plus slabs to boost sales. Holy cow. Travis says, I work with kiddos from 6A to 6P and then work on businesses and eBay from 6P to 11P. Very cool. ATX says, how many active listings and sales do you think you can handle before needing to have someone working for you? I think I can do another, I think I can do twice before I really, well, I'd love to have somebody helping me right now, but the numbers just don't work money-wise. So I think I can handle twice the volume. I think I can do 150 sales per day, and that's kind of the point where I need to look for some part-time help on the shipping end. It's I mean that's a chore. And I think there will be a listings hit on as I grow to that point. There will be some ebbs and flows because it'll be hard. I'll be spending more time shipping than I can list. So let's see. That 70s card show says 1 kid is the same as 12 for insurance purposes. That's true. But I wouldn't want to handle 12 kids and feeding them and taking care of them. Let's see. Jason Ellis, what's up? Good morning. Mark has 6 kids. I don't know how people do it with multiple, like 1 kid. Like I can't imagine. I mean, you can't just feed a kid in the morning, noon, and night, and walk them once, and then just kind of let them do their own thing the rest of the day. You've got to like parent them and stuff. That seems like a lot of work. And that's just 1. I can't imagine having 4 or 6. Holy moly. Let's see. Jenny's curious of the ages and not much sports. I'm assuming your school events. Travis asks, how many hours daily do you spend shipping? I would say probably 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. Like, and I mean, I'm kind of ADD, so I can't do 3 to 4 hours in one sitting. Same, I can't spend 3 to 4 hours sitting at a computer and list. I've got to bounce back and forth. So I'll spend like an hour listing, and then I'll come downstairs and spend an hour shipping. I'll go back upstairs, do an hour of listing, back and forth. Let's see. Andrew says, how are you calculating your average daily sales? Okay, so average daily sales. I use the eBay app sales. Okay, so on your main page, on your day number, 90-day numbers. And I try to calculate them around the same time because it's going to vary in the morning as opposed to the night. So usually I take a screenshot of my app before I go to bed, and then I'll put it in my spreadsheet the next morning. So take your 90-day sold total. So I've sold 7,045 items in the last 90 days. Divide that by 90, and that'll show you your average daily sales. And that's over a 90-day period, which is a nice time frame. That's 3 months. Little over 78 sales per day. Your sell-through rate, you take that number, so I'm at 78.27, and divide that by your listings. And of course, this is a rough estimate, and it's gonna, like, if you upload 300 items and you calculate it before or after, it's going to skew that just a little bit. So 14,045 is my active listings. And so my sell-through rate right now is 0.557%. So about 0.5 is my sell-through rate. So, and those are 90-day numbers. And, you know, my sales have actually been a little higher here over the last week. So I think as we move, you know, further and further, that number is only going to increase. And, you know, it might be 90 sales per day here in the last few days because I made a lot of sales over the last week. Jenny says, where are we at? Jenny says, don't get me wrong. I wasn't saying anything bad about if there is kids. I just think if I had kids, I would be way more busy with them. That's exactly what I was meaning with kids. Like, I can't imagine parenting children. It's just, Mark says all of his kids are grown and moved out. Youngest is 26. Let's see. John says, at least your dog doesn't leave his weed around that I end up having to hide before mom finds it. No, but the dog leaves her chewed up bones, and when she leaves them on the couch, mom doesn't like that. So I have to hide the chewed up dog bones that are left on the couch. A little different than weed, but you know. No joke, it's hard with a kid. Agree, multiple, I can't imagine. Cooter says, once you get past 2 kids, you learn to play zone defense. I love it. Travis says, it's good for your mind to take breaks too. I love that. Yeah, and actually, like, what I do, and I've kind of found a good rhythm when the weather's nice. So I'll do some shipping in the morning, like right after I make my coffee. I'll come down here and do some shipping for about 20 minutes before I go live. I do this show, and then I'll grab another cup of coffee. I'll go sit out on my patio and just kind of prepare for the day, basically. And I'll go on eBay and answer any offers, send offers, get updates on email and social media. So that's kind of my preparing for the day. It's kind of like my commute, just sitting on the patio with a cup of coffee. Let's see. Jenny says, I feel like if I had more than 2 kids, I would no longer be a parent, but a bouncer. Randy says, also mention your wife's salary. That carries you when you have slow sales months. You couldn't do this full time without her. I mean, yeah, with anybody. You know, absolutely. The Agile Collector, 5 kids is tough with my full-time eBay business. Retired Air Force wife and medical, retired from Army myself, covers our insurance needs, has been an absolute blessing. With the recession that we're in, I think the sellers that focus on cards $1 to $5 each will win big time. Sales are going up with more hard work. Parenting was rough when they were young. John says, off to the post office and find where they've stashed Porter's package I sent 11 days ago. Shower, ship, and shave. That's the card life right there. Shower, ship, and shave. So, wow, 90-minute show this morning. And we hit 52 viewers, which at one time, which I think is a record. So thanks for watching. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Tomorrow is Friday. So basically the last couple days have been like a free-for-all Friday. We've had awesome chats, which is kind of like the Fridays are always the big chat. A lot of fun in the chat room. So tomorrow is a free-for-all Friday. Today is Thursday. I don't think I have. I may go to the South Bend Cubs game tomorrow night, but I may not. It's a good pitching matchup tomorrow night. If you're into baseball prospects, DJ Hers is going for the Cubs. He's one of the Cubs' top pitching prospects. And Dax Fulton, Marlins pitching prospect. He's been in Bowman. He's pitching for the Beloit Skycarp tomorrow night. So may go to the game tomorrow night, may not. I do need to prepare for Sunday's card show. I'll be in Janesville, Wisconsin on Sunday. So I'll have brand new, never before seen 25-cent boxes, and there'll be a lot of Bowman. I'm gonna have some first Bowmans in the quarter box. I'll have some Bowman inserts in the quarter boxes. I'll have some basketball color and rookies and a lot of fun stuff. So that's in Janesville at the Holiday Inn Convention Center right off the interstate in Janesville, Wisconsin, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. this Sunday, July 3rd. Next Madison card show is July 23rd at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. I'm out of coffee. I've got really cold coffee in here. Ooh, really cold coffee. July 23rd, Madison Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. So gonna be a lot of fun. So have a great Thursday. We'll chat again tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'll be premiering my video, The Most Honest Guy in the Hobby. And that's coming up today at 5 p.m. Have a great Thursday, and we'll chat tomorrow.